Good to go, Christina?
You are live now, yes.
Awesome. So I call to order the Finance Committee special meeting for 5/5/2021. Happy Cinco de Mayo, 4:15 p.m. Do you have any announcements, Christina?
I do. I will read the meeting procedures. The procedures adopted for this meeting meet or exceed the standards set forth in Governor Newsom's Order N-25-20, which allows the public meetings like this to be held by teleconference to help to prevent the spread of COVID. At this time, I will conduct roll, and I will ask the chair to recognize me afterwards to confirm certain matters for the record. Vice Chair Perkins?
Here.
And Chair Zafar?
Here. And I recognize Christina again.
Based on the responses to roll call, the record should reflect that all committee members can hear the proceedings clearly. If there are no objections, the record will further reflect that each committee member believes, based on voice or facial recognition or otherwise, that the persons representing themselves to be council members are in fact council members.
We do.
Thank you.
I do.
Seeing no objection, I will turn the meeting back over to the chair with a reminder that all votes must be taken by roll call.
Wonderful. Item number 2, public comment. Public comment at special meeting is limited to the item described in the notice. Comments should not exceed more than 3 minutes. Do we have anybody from public wanting to make a comment?
For those in the audience that want to make a comment, please press the *9 button. It looks like someone raised their hand and then dropped it. But if anyone wants
I almost thought Robert had it and then dropped it.
Yes. And we did not receive any written comment for this meeting.
Okay. So it's not a glitch. I think we don't have comment then.
It does not appear.
All right, so closing public comment. Item number 3, new business. 3.1, Alameda County Industries lost revenue augmentation. Staff report by Robin Bartlett, Engineering Division Manager.
Well, good afternoon, Finance Committee members, and I'm not so happy to be here because of our subject. COVID has thrown yet another curveball at us. Again, I'd like to reintroduce Carrie Parker. She will be of assistance on this with her long experience working with ACI. And Rob Hilton, our consultant, should also be available on the line if you have any questions that we need to direct towards him. So I briefly summarized this issue in just a couple of slides here. Hopefully you can all see that. So just to recap the problem we have here, that is that due to the COVID-19 issues, ACI has experienced a substantial drop in their revenue to the point where they have experienced already a net loss of approximately $1.5 million. Under the terms of our contract, ACI is entitled to what is referred to as an extraordinary rate increase because the restrictions are being imposed by law. The extraordinary rate increase methodologies are really quite complex and are somewhat problematic for all parties at the moment because the contract wasn't really drawn up with the thought of COVID-19 and year-long shutdowns. So one of the problems that we're dealing with is that if we were to go through the extraordinary rate increase process, which takes time, we would end up with a situation where we've adjusted our rates, and then perhaps COVID-19 ends, there's rapid pick back up in business and other commercial revenue streams that ACI has. And that then makes our extraordinary rate increase moot, but then we have to adjust for what happened when we reset it, and then we'd get back into changing rates yet again, and then we'd run up into our 22-23 already anticipated rate increase, and we'd be constantly changing rates and spending a lot of resources in the process. So again, there's no quick way to readjust the rates, but fortunately, we do have a reserve within the solid waste fund, which is also a byproduct of COVID, in the sense that we have not hired a commercial recycling coordinator, which we had anticipated doing with this contract because of the situation with the commercial enterprises. Nor until just this week had we restarted the residential household hazardous waste. So that puts us in a relatively good position. So this is our proposed solution, that we create a rate stabilization fund to handle payments and repayments, that we transfer $750,000 from the city's solid waste fund into that rate stabilization fund and then to ACI, that we suspend payment of the refuse vehicle impact fee for a total of $750,000, and that suspended payment then be repaid at a date to be determined following the end of COVID pandemic by ACI. And that whole solution will allow us to avoid the rate increase that would be seen by the city residents and businesses, and also would settle the issue with ACI. And basically, the situation would be that the residents who have already paid that $750,000 in the solid waste fund would be using that money to avoid a rate increase. And the other, essentially a loan of the vehicle impact fee, would be paid in the future out of future profits that ACI would anticipate. So that's the matter in a nutshell, but happy to go over any questions or comments that you have.
Yeah, what
Vice
is
Mayor.
what is the balance right now in the solid waste fund?
It's a little over $900,000.
Okay. And will it continue to collect revenues going forward?
There are a variety of revenues that are coming into the solid waste fund, but those are essentially earmarked to pay for various things, such as the commercial recycling coordinator, which we anticipate hiring in July, and the household hazardous waste, which has now started up, and the various other items that we're intended to do. So yes, there is funds coming in. We think it's reasonably well accounted for, but it was never intended to be creating any kind of significant surplus.
Okay, so the expected revenue is roughly equal to the expected expense of a commercial waste coordinator and the hazardous waste program.
And the other programs. So more or less, yes. We expect there's maybe a minor buildup over time going into the long term, looking at another contract in 15 years, but that's about it.
Okay. And you're proposing in the staff report backfilling the refuse vehicle impact fee from either general funds or COP going forward, because that refuse vehicle impact fee is a vital part of the our paving program, as you well know.
Yes, the recent presentation we did to the infrastructure committee meeting laid out our 5-year plan, and that 5-year plan does not include a $750,000 hole in the funding for our pavement.
Okay. So staff will present a recommendation on how to fill that hole then.
Yeah, well, we have the two options that are currently laid out where there is some money in the COP, which has not yet been earmarked for a particular project. So we could tap into that to help bridge the gap. Or there's general fund, or if there's other suggestions.
So Robin, how long did it take us to build up this fund?
Well, we actually went into the new contract with some dollars in place, in part because the process of establishing the new contract had to be paid for by the winner of that contract. So we went into the fund with several $100,000 in place. And then that accelerated because of the household hazardous waste and recycling coordinator positions not being filled. So the preponderance has filled up over the year, but it did start with some before that.
Okay, and how long do you think it'll take us to get back to a level where
Well,
we can provide
we would never expect to get back to what we have now because we never expected to be here in the first place. But it does leave us with a approximately $200,000 cushion, which we wanted to have some cushion in part to just deal with unexpected things, but also because we anticipate a little bit of a surge in the household hazardous waste utilization as we started back up.
And the other thing is the money that the federal money that we're getting, and I don't know, maybe Joe can help answer that or somebody, are we able to utilize any of that for this purpose or?
We haven't looked at that specifically, but in all likelihood, it could be considered because it's a direct effect of COVID-19.
Yeah.
So we haven't independently really researched that, but we would have to look into that a little bit more detail. It appears, and just on face value, we could look at that as because of the impact.
Yeah. So if we can, use some additional dollars from there to. I mean, I think the solution is very creative in what you've brought in front of us. My fear coming to this was we're going to raise, rates, and that would be, would not make people very happy, and especially with the economic situation that is right now as well. So, I mean, I really appreciate the creativity. I would love to see if, some of that can be augmented with the dollars that we might be getting, which can specifically be earmarked for, for COVID-related impacts that we've had.
I might add, there's capital improvements that the dollars can be augmented for. So though, I mean, it's kind of 6 in one and half a dozen in the other, in the sense that if we don't do it through the pathway of solid waste, we're ending up at, say, paving or some sort of capital improvement that those dollars can be used towards capital improvements and such. So I think there's an avenue either way.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, the federal dollars can be used in a number of ways, and I'd like to have that discussion in a much broader context, because pavement is one position. There are multiple positions around the city that can benefit from the federal dollars. So rather than earmark it today, I think we go forward. I would like to go forward with the recommendation of the staff report, and we will make a determination at a later date as to how to backfill the refuse vehicle impact fee. But for now, transferring $750,000 from the solid waste fund and deferring the $750,000 from waste management or from ACI to the city for the RVIF to be paid back at a later date, I think is a very thoughtful and creative solution that will serve us and ACI in the near term and we can solve the other problems in a later term. So if you need a motion, I recommend we accept the staff recommendation and send it to the council.
Yeah, I can second that. Is that what you're looking from us right now?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're done with this item. Item number 3.2, securing tax exemption financing for construction of the Aspen Wood Senior Housing Project. Staff report by Debbie Chamberlain, Community Development Director.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to be here to present this item. A little bit of history or background is that the Aspenwood project was approved by the council on November 14th, and it consisted of 95 senior apartments and 13 units that were set aside for low and very low income seniors. This property was a former redevelopment property, and so it was sold to the current property owner through the successor agency. Since approval of the project, the developer has been trying to secure financing for the project. With COVID and escalating construction costs, they now intend to file a joint application with the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee, Tax Credit Allocation Committee, to provide exempt financing, tax exempt financing for the project. To assist with the greatest chance of securing the financing and bridge the gap in the construction costs, Aspenwood developers are asking the city to contribute $4.5 million from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. In exchange, all 95 units would be provided at 60% or below of the area median income, meaning they're all very low and low income units. And this would result in an additional 82 units deed restricted for 50 years and assist the city in meeting its regional housing needs allocation. This will be the second opportunity for the city to secure housing with long-term affordability. On March 23rd, the council appropriated funds for the purchase of a townhome at Park Central at an anticipated total cost to the city of $189,000. In contrast, if the developers are successful in securing tax-exempt financing and the city contributes the $4.5 million, it would equate to a cost of approximately $47,000 per unit and would be an efficient use of our housing fund. The staff report indicated that the housing fund is anticipated to end fiscal year 21-22 at roughly $4.51 million. In preparing the final preliminary budget for presentation next week, the fund balance for the end of fiscal year 21-22 is anticipated to be closer to $4.57 million. So there are sufficient funds to cover this request. So at this point, staff recommends the committee consider the request and authorize the city manager to sign the letter of support. And we do have Robert Storr and Jeff Woods in the audience. If you have any questions of them or the process, they're happy to answer those questions for you. As staff is also, so.
Go ahead.
So a question about the different, according to the chart on page, let's see what page is that, page 11, it says there would be 10 units at 30%. Now that's below the very low threshold, is that right?
That's within the very low threshold.
Yeah.
It's at the bottom end of it.
Okay. Do we get extra credit for it being lower than the, okay.
We just get to check the box. We added one more unit to that category.
Okay, so if those were all at 50%, we'd still get the same credit against our RENA numbers. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
They'd all fall into that very low category.
Now, I don't know how that benefits the developer to have units in that category, or does it? Does it benefit the developer to have units in that category? Is there some added benefit to them in making their case for this financing?
That would probably be a better question asked of Robert and Jeff.
Okay.
I think if I recall, the tax allocation, the application.
The reason I ask is instead of having 10 units at 30, we had 20 units at 50, and we didn't give them quite 4.5 million. Because their income stream would be a little bit higher going forward. I don't know if that adds value. So let's see if Robert can help us out.
Can you
Oh.
run, Christina?
Putting Robert and Jeff right now.
Okay, or Jeff. Okay, there's Jeff. There's Robert.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, can you help me understand? I know part of our original agreement had, those units at 30%. Is there a particular benefit to you or the city to have those 10 units at that level as opposed to a 50%?
So, hey, Robert, I think I have an answer for that really quick. Is that those are the rules in order to get the tax credits. So the goal is there's 119 points available. With this letter, we'll have all 119 points, and that is the rule. So unless that changes, I hear you, and I appreciate you bringing it up. But in this case, I don't think that we'll get all the points if we don't give the low.
So there is some benefit to you, the developer, in your application, because there are points available to you based upon how many units you're building at what income levels, I assume.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
And Scott, let me just add to that, because this is sort of an unusual process because it's so new.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
So first of all, when we met with Marty and Martin and Debbie and Joe, we sort of laid out what this process. So there's some education here that we need to look at. Standard companies is a company that brings in tax credits and bonds and grants. They bring in, Facebook, Google, Amazon have all had to create a housing set-aside fund to build affordable housing. Naturally, they're not going to do it in Silicon Valley, so they moved everything over into our area. We have 2,265 units that we have to build. I think you guys are over 5,100.
Yeah.
So Google, Facebook, they all have about $1 billion in their set-aside funds. So they help contribute to the construction of the project. When you get construction costs that have just skyrocketed, this, I think, is an amazing way to create a public-private partnership. And what I mean by that is City of San Ramon and the developer partner together with a company like Standard Companies that will allow the project to be 100% affordable when it was, mostly market, a few moderate, and then some very low. What we have right now, and you targeted probably, one of the best questions you could ask me at is how the hell can you get 30% below AMI? It's almost unheard of. That number is pretty special. So as you know, the very lows are almost unheard of. The lows are tough to get. Moderate, you're going to get those. Market, you're naturally going to get those. So if this were a standard project, no benefits to the builder. Because it's a tax credit project, we have to get those points. And to qualify for this project to be 100% affordable, we have to get X amount of dollars from you guys, so $4.5 million, money from Facebook, Google, Amazon, whoever's contributing. We mentioned the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee, they contribute money. The California Tax Credit Allocation Committee, they commit money. And then Standard Companies actually controls it and builds it. And then the City of San Ramon gets a 100% affordable project. I mean, affordable at the low and very low end.
At the end, let's see, you're the contractor developer. Who will own and operate the building at the end?
Standard Companies.
Standard Companies.
Yeah, along with they have to bring in a nonprofit to help them along. But they are Standard Companies is actually a little history. Debbie knows they're the largest affordable housing builder in the country. Believe it or not, they're really great at this, and this is what they do.
Since 2008, they've developed 11,000 units.
Okay, so your role in this is to bring all the parties together and build the project and then turn it over to them. So your financial interest in this is what?
Jeff, are you taking that one or am I?
Yeah. No, I am going to, I need to participate potentially or sell this to them at some point.
Okay,
And they would probably prefer the sell.
okay.
I mean, that's, yeah, they would prefer that, but, you know, we'll see what
I
happens.
just want to understand how you made your money, because
Yeah, they're,
if everybody else is contributing money and you're building it, there's got to be somewhere along the way you guys get paid.
yeah,
Okay.
and standard companies, I mean, you know, obviously they do it for a profit as well, right? So there's, you know, somewhere in this whole tax credit thing, they're getting some fees and so forth, and you know.
Okay. All right. And so in the end, we get 90 something affordable
95.
units on our list of projects, and at a cost of $4.5 million, which, as the staff reporters pointed out, is far cheaper than what we did just recently with the project over on St. James.
Yeah, Scott, what you're actually going to have is 75 units at the 60%, which is going to be, let's just consider that low. And then you got 20 units at the very low.
Right. Yeah. Hard to come by.
This is why I think this new direction is probably going to be something. It's going to look like this. We're looking at this same program at our town offices when we move to the new offices next door. We'll rezone the existing property, create high density apartments there, probably in the 35, 40 units an acre, and then partner with a nonprofit like standard companies to come in and build, you know, 100% affordable units in there, which can't imagine any other way to go. We lost the opportunity on those apartments on Diablo Road. We just finished those and only got 10 units out of it.
You only have a couple thousand more to go.
All right.
Crazy.
Hey,
So
hey,
I think, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to make a comment, but please go ahead, Jeff.
I just had a question. Scott, you asked this, but I want to make sure I got this clear. Is that Debbie? So there is no difference on points at the city, just for my knowledge, depending on the level of low, very low, or high, right? The state sees them all as equal.
Well, they go into different categories. There's the very low, the moderate, and the above moderate category. So each in those categories, we need to provide units. And with our current RENA allocation, 75% of our units are below market rate. So moderate and below. With our upcoming allocation, 61% of our allocation will be below market rate. So you have to check up, you know, the idea is to fill each pot. Then you don't get to pick and choose where you put the units. It's not a one pot, it's 4 separate pots.
Got it. Thank you.
I was just trying to get the most units for the dollar, and recognizing that the threshold point is in our world is the optimum place, is to catch it at the threshold point. But if your point system for your financing calculates it completely different, then I'll leave it alone.
And through the chair, if I may make one more comment that was remiss in my presentation, I just wanted to mention that the letter of support allows only the application to be submitted. It's not a legal commitment, but one of good faith. And so if they are successful in securing the funding or the financing, the city will then proceed on making the final financing commitment through the city council. So this is just an intermediate step to help them file the application, but there's a lot of work to do afterwards if they are awarded the allocation.
Okay.
How close are we to that? I know it's to using getting all the funding in place and everything and starting to build these.
So the timing on that, that's a very good question. So timing is at the end of May, we will find out if we got selected.
Okay.
And that will be, once you get selected, then you have to, it's probably about June, July, August. So August, we'll have everything in place, and potentially by the end, call it October, November, we could be under construction if everything works exactly the way it's supposed to.
Okay.
One of the exciting things that why we think we have a good opportunity is, like you guys, the state with the tax bonds want a project that's ready to go, right? I mean, there's, as a developer, there's no such thing as an almost approved project, right? So this is a really approved project, right? The building permits are almost ready to go.
Okay. Yeah. So, and once, according to what Debbie said, once you get approved or picked, then that's when we give you the funding as well.
It'll be paid over the course of a period of time, so it won't have to happen all at one time. There'll be points where that money will trigger a payment.
Yeah.
So council members afar, given just for clarification, you can kind of view this like a grant application. We don't know if we're selected. We have to apply. So we're not going to take this package to the council until we are selected, but right. We did feel it was important to have council member input on actually a good faith commitment to the funds, affordable funds. And so we wanted to have a perspective from the finance committee to take a look at it. And so, like I said, it's a soft commitment in the sense that this will be presented upon selection to the county, to the council, upon selection to the approval to the council for to finalize it all. And another way you can view this and how we've looked at it as well from our perspective is, our inclusionary ordinance requires a 15% affordable. If you take the 96 units or however many there are at the summer, 96, and then, how many units would we need to build in order to attain those units? And it's, in the area of whatever 600 or something homes, that gives you an idea that of the scale in which this would have to take place without credits, right? So this is an opportunity for us to gain this on one project that would take 600 homes to build for a developer to be able to do so and make their margin. And so after viewing it in that perspective and looking towards the finance committee for insight and perspective on it, we felt like this would be a good use of affordable housing money, which is what it's for. And therefore felt initially we would like to do that. So I literally have to sign a letter and get it to the developer here by Friday, because they have to submit their package. And so that's why we even called the special finance committee. So hopefully that gives clarification as well.
Yeah. And Joe, I was just going to say, I don't see a better way of us using this fund. I think this is really a great way. We have the funds and we have to use them, and we have to use them for affordable housing. And in my personal opinion, this is a great opportunity for us to use those funds and really be able to build affordable housing, especially for seniors. This project, like, Jeff said, this one is ready to go. It's got all the approvals and everything. And so something we can realistically say that we'll be bringing if all the process gets approved and everything. So I really appreciate you and Debbie bringing this in front of us. I think it's a phenomenal idea, in my opinion. Yes, Vice Mayor.
I also appreciate the fact that we've got more money coming to the Housing Fund through the Faria project and the BR6 project. So there will be opportunities to replenish the fund, though it might have a small balance for a while. There are substantial funds coming our way, and hopefully there's other projects like this that we can support, because affordable housing is hard to come by, and the arena numbers are staring us in the face.
Yeah, hey, and if we can maximize.
Yeah, knowing that, we could have probably asked for more money.
Yeah, why didn't you? You drained the pond here, and it doesn't get refilled.
Or you can bring another project, Robert.
But believe me, we've already talked to Joe, and honestly, we walked out of the room thinking that we probably should give you a few dollars back because he cried that he was so broke. So
Yeah.
I think their funds are, they need to be used as well. We can't just sit on them and hoard them there either. So,
And
it's just a clarification when when Scott and Joe mentioned the inclusionary housing, we all have 15% inclusionary housing. But remember, when a builder actually invokes the density bonus, it's 10% of what the baseline numbers would be. So you don't get any more than just baseline numbers and 10%.
Yeah.
So here we have an opportunity that this is probably what the future is going to look like, where you're not going to do this with a Trammell Crow because they're going to build their own project. But with smaller developers, we'll do the entitlements and we'll help get this thing packaged up, and and we can build them. But there are other people that can do this, maybe a little bit faster, a little bit out of our wheelhouse.
I'm surprised Joe didn't make you buy the old truck that's sitting at the woodlot, the old rusty truck Hulk over there.
Honestly, the man had me in tears when we walked out of his office, thinking that I don't think the city of San Ramon has much money to spare here.
Yeah.
Joe, you were looking for direction from us?
Yeah, that toll gate project I've been telling you about on the San Ramon Valley Boulevard and Camino Ramon. Yeah, those toll gates are going to cost your residents something just to get to Costco.
Well, that sounds like another revenue generating moment for the city of San Ramon.
Yes. All right. I recommend that we authorize the city manager to sign the letter in support. See where it goes.
I'll second that.
Great. Hope we'll get a lot of good press out of this, because this is something so unique that, what city is going to get, 95 units of all affordables. Really pretty special. Very, very special.
We did it quite a few years ago with a project up on the hill by, it's called Brave Church. It used to be called Church on the Hill. And we built 100 and some units up there, but we got a lot of federal dollars. How many units was that, Debbie?
It was 105, and RDA put in, I think, 5.5 million on the land sale.
Yeah. And then there was millions that came from the federal government, and we also, I think, got some county money in.
Probably CDBG funds.
Yeah.
Block grant. Yeah.
Yeah. These don't come along but once every 10 years, at least like this.
Yeah.
If I could say one other item is that, and Joe, you brought this up at our meeting. So we obviously did come in for more money. The 4.5 was the minimum. We're going to go to bat at the sewer district, at Dublin, San Ramon sewer district there, and a couple of the agencies. So Sabina and Scott, anything, we'll keep you up to date on that, right? Because you guys shouldn't be the only one that is throwing cash at this, right? I mean, these fees are huge. Off the top of my head, I think the
$4.5 million.
Yeah. Well, just a sewer district fee in Dublin is 1.1, and this is this building is still 55 and older, right? So it's not like we have families and living in a 2-3 bedroom apartment. So we should probably any help on that would be great.
Well, I will mention the fact that I'm the chair of the Tri-Valley Transportation Council, and there are fees for TVTC. Normally would have cost you probably a few $100,000, but affordable units, the fees are $0 for TVTC. So your Tri-Valley Transportation Council fees just dropped to $0 from whatever you had before.
But same thing with the school district. The school district doesn't really recognize 55-year-old and older units with no kids that are affordable. East Bay Mud recognizes a family of 4 in every apartment. When I built my first project, I had to go to East Bay Mud and say, look, think about this for a second. I've got single occupant units, they're 55 and older, mostly women, and there's no family members here. And they agreed to lower the fees. So we need to look at that and all the fees, not only for this project, but for everything we do moving forward with affordable housing.
Yeah. So Robert, you and I that's our next step. We'll tackle those guys and see what we can do.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
If we have no
Could
other
I just hear the
questions, Jeff,
approval
did you
one
want to
more
make a
time?
comment?
Yeah, I just want to hear the vote before I hang up.
Oh, I made the motion. She seconded.
Yeah,
You need to vote. Yay. Aye.
well, Joe has our approval, so the power is with Joe now.
Just, I find it interesting, Robert, that you asked for that. Like, can we just specifically get the vote? Like,
I just want to hear everyone say yay.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Robert doesn't trust me. I know that.
Anyway, thanks a lot, everybody. I appreciate
All
it.
right, thank
I
you.
appreciate it. This will be exciting, and I appreciate all your help with this. And
Yeah.
Joe,
It's just luck. Yeah.
Joe, can we talk tomorrow and figure out how to get the letter signed and we can get it moved forward?
I believe we have the letter in hand for signature. I'm not going to be around till tomorrow late afternoon, but I can make it happen through Debbie.
Okay. And Jeff, just a clarification. What's the drop dead date? Is it actually Friday the 7th?
It is, yeah. Hey, there wasn't a draft of that letter in the package, was there?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, there was something in the package.
Well, there was a letter from us that describes
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the request.
Okay.
Because the one thing that I sent it to Martin, the one thing that Standard asked me was that final approval would be better than city council approval in the letter. I don't know what the letter reads.
Well, the city council is the final approval, so
Well, yeah, I got it. Yeah. So if you said final approval, that would be great. Semantics, right?
okay, if you would like me to run that back through the city attorney, I will do so.
I emailed him.
Okay.
I mean, I emailed him the other day, so maybe he didn't see it, but does it say city council approval? The letter?
I don't remember. I can coordinate with Martin tomorrow, Jeff.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. Well, thanks for everybody. Appreciate it.
Hey, Debbie, thank you for moving this forward and sort of grasping it so quickly. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
So should we look forward to a special city council meeting before Friday, or
Nope.
you'll
we're
let
all
us know?
good.
Okay, all good. Thank you so much.
Can
We're
we do a
adjourned?
ribbon cutting, Sabina?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Thanks, everybody.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys.